In a world where insanity reigns supreme and safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, it's comforting to know an ancient, fat, long-haired, bearded reprobate has your mind in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, and despite every attempt by the SHR Media Network to revoke his shameless contract, we return to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble.
Have I got a great show tonight? And I'm ready. Eddie. I'm prepared. I'm prepared for anything. Even if I don't get Dr. Jones on the air tonight, I'm ready. I'm going to tell you a story about how I got to be unready last Thursday night and last Tuesday night. And I tried to contact Dr. Jones because he's our first hour guest. And even if he's not ready, I'm ready with tons of stuff just for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back tonight. Dink is going to be your bartender. He serves with the best of them, and in fact, the lava lamp is lighted right over there to my left, your right, indicating that you can listen and chat. Be in the chat room at shrmedia.com. It also means that you can watch the show on the Redcon 1 or the Redcon Sarge, Big Sarge Facebook page. Thanks to Big Sarge for allowing me on the show and allowing me on the Facebook page. And also you can watch us live on the SHR Media Facebook page or the SHR Media YouTube channel. What I got to tell you next is, we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred, the speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, and don't forget to tip your waitress. The show consists of 2 hours, count them, 2 full conservatarian hours, packed, jam-packed, with late-night buttery political goodness. And if you get your favorite adult beverage, sit down, clap a set of headphones over your head, or watch on Facebook on the Redcon Sarge Facebook page, the Big Sarge Facebook page, or the SHR Media Facebook page, or the SHR Media YouTube channel. You can either listen and just kick back, you can clean your fish tank, you can balance your checkbook, you can change your parakeet cage, and you can also get into the chat room as well. So thanks to everybody who is listening tonight. Tonight happens to be Thursday. It is May 2nd, the year of our Lord, 2019. In the first hour, tentatively speaking, he said yes. We should have the underground professor, Michael Jones on. I've had him a couple of times, and everybody who listens to him says, gosh, this guy is really smart. He's really intelligent, and you need to have him on some more. Okay, well, this is me listening to you, having him on some more. The second hour is going to consist of so many happy stories, it's not even remotely funny. Plus 2 other important stories that I haven't related to you. One about California, with a K. And the other one I heard on the radio on the way over here, which is, it's so fucking stupid. It's so over-the-top leftist that I thought, you know what? At the beginning of the second hour, I will talk about this story. Because it's just crazy. It's crazy cakes. So in chat room, right now. We have Michael John Pasqua. We got the Alaskan. Hey, and we got Bigfoot. So thanks to everybody for being in the chat room right now. If you happen to be listening, and we had a couple of people come over last time. If you happen to be listening on Big Sarge's Facebook page, I mean, there are tons of places that you can go to get into a chat room. What I'm asking you is, because this show is produced by myself, there's nobody else here, there's no other producer, I got to make all this stuff run, and I'm in my 7th decade, and just getting up in the morning for me isn't easy. So with all this technological GURP in front of me, I do monitor, however, one chat page. So I'm asking you, I would love to have you be in chat. Anybody that's listening live, I would love to have you be in chat. And I'd love to see you over here. People are already, they're talking to each other. We got a great chat room, and we always welcome new people. I think James Alexander was here from Australia last time, who was a Redcon 1 media listener, a Big Sarge listener. So if you want to come over and listen, shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com. When you go to that page, you'll see something similar to listen and chat. And if you click that on the face page, it'll take you to the chat room, which is what I'm looking at right now. And so I'd love to have anyone and everyone over here. There's no limit to the great folks that are here. There's a whole bunch of standard contemporaries, and folks, we love new folks. They love new folks. Come on over and chat. shrmedia.com. shrmedia.com. Okay. While I'm waiting to get a hold of the Underground Professor, I'll tell you a little story. 1 ringy-dingy, 2 ringy-dingies. Well, maybe I won't tell you a story. Maybe it'll actually work. You know me in technology when it comes to telephones. Speaking of telephones, I'm going to have to tell you a technological story. I think I'm going to get Dr. Jones' voicemail here in a little bit. But you know, if this rolls over to voicemail, I'm going to call his cell phone, because then he can't say that I didn't try to contact him in every way possible. But
please leave a message.
Yeah, okay, I'm not going to leave a message, because that's going to give his phone number, and that just would be wrong. That would be very wrong. So I'm going to try to contact him by his cell phone. And there we go. Even if I can't get a hold of him, because you always in radio have to make sure that that you're prepared for anything and everything. Let's try this.
Please leave your message for 8.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a little story, and then I'll try back in a little bit. So let me hang up. This is not the first time that this has happened, and any good radio person has to be prepared for stuff that comes. And you know me, I always have more material, because I was in radio before, and you know, always have more material than you'll need. But I got to tell you this story. I told it yesterday in the chat show, and people in the chat room right there were listening. There was a reason that I was off last Thursday. This show with Professor Jones is essentially a makeup show for last Thursday. I had scheduled him for last Thursday. He was all ready to go, and I had to call him at the last moment because I tried to get everything here to work, and what happened is this. You may or may not know or have heard of something like an infinite feedback loop. I had a slider open on this board right here. You can see just a little bit of it. And when you get a feedback loop, if you don't stop it, it can damage equipment, and it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder until the equipment just can't handle it. Well, that's what happened last Thursday. Sackhead Sean was listening to some stuff, left a slider open. I couldn't see the slider was open because it was hidden by this microphone right here. Hey, John, Mar, great to see you. Glad to see you here. You look like you're a new dude, so pleasantly welcoming you right now. So anyway, I got an infinite feedback loop, which blew out the old set of headphones. It also blew out, under here lives a headphone amp, and it blew out the headphone amp. So I couldn't hear myself and I couldn't do the show. So I ordered a bunch of parts. These are brand new Sony professional headphones to the tune of about $200. That's a new headphone amp down there for the tune of about $100. And I couldn't do the show Tuesday because I hadn't yet received all the parts. So I've got all the parts. Did the show last night. That's why we're up to speed right now. Going to make a couple more attempts to get Professor Michael Jones. But again, I say that's okay because I have got some great, great stories. I've got some happy stories. I've got some great audio cuts. Holy moly, is there a lot of stuff to go over. We didn't get to go into the hearings, the Senate Judiciary hearings on the Shat Show last night. And because the Shat Show with Sackheads Clint is freestyle radio, when we got through, we both looked at each other and said, weren't we? Hey, John, like I say, welcome. Welcome, John. Oh, and you're the guy who built Redcon 1's site and stuff. Great. Great for you. Great to see you here. In any event, we didn't get to the hearing, and at the end of the show, the end of the Shat Show, Sackheads Clint and I looked at each other and said, was that necessarily a bad thing? That we didn't get in touch with, or we didn't talk about the Mueller, the Mueller report as discussed by the Senate Judiciary Committee, because that, if you want to talk about a Shat Show, the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday and today, oh my God, the cuts I've got for you, that's not a Shat Show. That was a shit show that your tax dollars are paying for. Okay, uno más. We're going to try to see if we can contact the professor on his cell phone. And if not, that's okay. Because, boy, have I got material for you guys tonight. Uno más with Dr. Jones. And we'll see if we can get him.
Please leave your message for 8.
Nope. Okay. All right. Can't say I didn't try. 8:15. It's 10:15 his time. He's in Texas. So, I'm sorry. We'll have to get him some other time. Like one of those things where do you start? Because I had all sorts of questions for him. I want to start with this. We talked about it last night. Don't know if you guys read Imprimis. It's a free publication from Hillsdale College. And essentially what they do, Imprimis translates stories from speeches given from folks that go to Hillsdale, and they have a massive speaking engagement. And they have just tons of people going there and speaking. Now, if I can find it, there we go. I found a transcript of a speech. Oh, hey, Iggy Mom, great to see you. John Marr says, cool, I'm in 2 chat rooms at once. Bring friends. Always bring friends. We'd like to see more people. Anyway, in Imprimis, which you can subscribe to for free, and if you're interested in subscribing, you go to imprimis.hillsdale.com. Excuse me, no, wrong. Let me amend that. You go to Imprimis, imprimus.hillsdale.edu. You can sign up for it. They're going to ask you if you want to donate a couple of bucks. You can. You can opt out and say nope. And they'll still give you the newsletter for free. And I get it every month. It comes out every month. So this is a transcription of a speech by Joe DeGeneva. If you look at Joe DeGenova in, say, Wikipedia, essentially all it's going to tell you is this guy is a former district attorney, a United States attorney for the District of Columbia, and all it's going to say from that point on is he's politicized, he's such a hack, he's such a goober. No, he knows exactly what he's talking about because he's done the job. And you can see him on Fox News. Evil, evil Fox News. Well, basically, he's he's a co-founder of DeGenova and Tensing LLC. He got his BA from Cincinnati. He's an attorney, obviously, so he got his JD from Georgetown. He was a United States attorney for the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia is the second most contested area in all of the United States. USAs from the District of Columbia customarily go on to be federal judges, and that's also the pool from which they pick lots of SCOTUS folks in the future. Let's see, he was an independent counsel for the United States. He was a special counsel to the U.S. House of Representatives. He was a chief counsel to the U.S. Senate Committee on Rules and Administration. He was counsel to the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Intelligence, very important. That was the Church Committee. And so he had a speech that was transcribed here. This speech was delivered last year at Hillsdale College. And there are more facts that are in this, but he assembles all of this in such a way as to emphasize that this is the bottom line, and all bottom line things for you. And I don't think that I'm talking out of turn when I'm saying everything that the leftists, what I call the LDAM, the leftists, Democrats, and American media maggots, everything that the LDAM is accusing Donald Trump and his administration of, they are truly guilty of. And as the weeks and months go by, we've discovered that's exactly true. What we're discovering is that Donald Trump is prescient. Yes, they were spying on him. Tons of audio cuts and things like this. So I gave you the CV on Joe DeGenova so that you'd have an idea that he just didn't step out of the ether and spew out this speech. The dude knows what he's talking about. So when he speaks, I listen. Now, I used to say that about Judge Napolitano. Here's something interesting that I recently unearthed about Judge Napolitano. Do you remember about 4, 5, maybe 6 months ago, Judge Napolitano, his line was he was very supportive of the bulk of the things that Donald Trump was doing in his presidency. And then if folks, you happen to listen to Judge Knapp and you respected his positions, you noticed a change in Judge Knapp. And the change was he became no longer pro-Trump and he became anti-Trump. Well, that's kind of weird because it's right in the middle of Donald Trump's first term. I believe Donald Trump's going to be a two-termer, by the way. But it was odd that Napolitano changed horses in the middle of the stream, and here's why. Apparently, sub rosa, there were some inquiries made to the White House as to Judge Knapp might be a fairly decent candidate for SCOTUS. And apparently the information came back that, well, I don't think you're really in consideration for SCOTUS. And when that information came back, surprise, 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 our good Judge Andrew Napolitano was no longer a Donald Trump supporter, and most everything he's saying these days is, I don't believe in that. Donald Trump shouldn't be doing that. That's not legal, and I think something bad is going to happen to him, etc. Rentune. Oh, Alaskan says, remind them that Hillsdale does not take any federal money. That's an excellent point. Hillsdale is a completely independent school. They don't take federal money, and because of that, they are not answerable or beholden to the federal government or anyone else. So thank you, Alaskan. That's an excellent point. Thank you for telling me that in chat and reminding me of that. So when I found this article and I read it completely, I thought this is a brilliant encapsulation of what's going on by a guy that knows, and I just related to you, how and why he knows this. Over the past year, facts have emerged that suggest there is a plot by high-ranking FBI and Department of Justice, DOJ officials in the Obama administration, acting under color of law to exonerate Hillary Clinton of federal crimes and then, if she lost the election, to frame Donald Trump and his campaign for colluding with Russia to steal the presidency. Stop. That's the perfect summary in a nutshell. And you didn't have to wait 75 years to hear essentially what he's going to say. Another reason that I admire Joe DeGenova. It's the same thing that I've been saying now for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. All that what we have been seeing, witnessing, watching in front of our eyes is, in my estimation, a soft coup against the United States of America. It was a soft coup against a citizen. And the point being that if the federal government and all these counterintelligence agencies can pull this shit against, well, let's delineate, against a presidential nominee, against a president-elect, and against a sitting president of the United States, imagine if the United States of America deigned to put its focus directly on you. For whatever reason, they can shred your ass. So imagine all of these forces in the federal government, state and local governments, and the American media maggots leveled at Donald Trump. There are very few forces these days that are supporting him, except a few, like Joe DeGenova, who encapsulate and summarize the exact same thing that I've been saying. This was a soft coup. Now, he hasn't said it yet, but he's about to give you tons of facts, not emotions. If you're looking for emotions, go someplace else. And like I said at the beginning, go clean your fish tank or change your parakeet cage. Not going to hear emotions here. Why? Until I start laughing at leftists in the second hour. This conduct was not based on mere bias, as has been widely claimed, but rather on deeply felt animus toward Trump and his agenda. In the course of this plot, FBI Director James Comey, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, I love it, he names names, FBI Director Andrew McCabe, FBI Deputy Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok, Strzok's paramour and FBI lawyer Lisa Page, FBI General Counsel James Baker, and DOJ Senior Official Bruce Orr, perhaps among others, compromised federal law enforcement to such an extent that the American public is losing trust. Stop, I say. The bulk of them have lost trust, including people who worked for them before, like me. I worked for the FBI. I know how this stuff works. And I still talk to people in the FBI. That's a story for another day. The American public is losing trust. Well, let me tell you this. Agents within the agency itself and DOJ, line-level agents, have lost trust. A recent CBS News poll finds 48% of Americans believe that Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Trump-Russia collusion probe is politically motivated. A stunning conclusion. And 63% of polled voters in a Harvard Capps Harris poll believe the FBI withheld vital information from Congress about the Clinton and Russia collusion investigations. I spent the early legal career as a federal prosecutor. I later supervised hundreds of prosecutors in prosecutions as a U.S. attorney and as an independent counsel. I have never witnessed investigations so fraught with failure to fulfill the basic elements of a criminal probe as those conducted under James Comey. Not since former acting FBI Director L. Patrick Gray deep-sixed evidence during Watergate has the head of the FBI been so discredited as Comey is now. So he goes into the case of the Clinton emails. I'm going to stop here just for a second, because in chat, John Marr has just written this. An important note that doesn't seem to be hitting the news: terror cells have still been building in the U.S., and we are at the rise at the moment with these catch and release illegals. We're on the verge of a war soon, and the media and the government knows this and will not speak of it at the moment. I am former MI, Desert Storm era, so trust me, I know what I'm talking about. The coup is real, and you haven't actually seen it activated yet. Be prepared, it's soon. Don't let them take your guns. Well, we're seeing that in Venezuela, aren't we? Since Venezuelans felt so happy and fat and secure that they decided to give away all their guns in 2012. Well, fuck them, right? That's what happens with socialism. The case of the Clinton emails. The Hillary Clinton email scandal began in 2013 with the U.S. House of Representatives' investigation into the attack on the American embassy in Benghazi, Libya, on September 11, 2012. Bingo, it started with Benghazi. What difference does it make? 4 Americans killed. Screw them. That's the attitude of Hillary Rodham Clinton and most of the leftists. And certainly the bulk of the people in the Barack Hussein Obama administration, President 44. It was during that investigation that accessing Secretary of State Clinton's emails became an issue, but it wasn't until the New York Times broke the story on March 2nd, 2015, that Clinton had a secret personal server that things really took off. Thousands of emails that the House first requested, then subpoenaed, conveniently disappeared. Remember those reports about BleachBit and the smashing of Clinton's numerous phones with hammers? Clinton and her aides were, to say the least, not forthcoming. It is clearly time for the FBI and the DOJ to act, using the legal tools at their disposal to secure the emails and other materials the House had subpoenaed. But that didn't happen. Let me stop here for just a minute. I'm not a techno geek. I'm not nearly as bad as Sackhead's Clint. But I kind of know that you can delete things, but somebody somewhere still has emails on someone's servers. All those emails that disappeared, if you think you eliminate emails by going into your inbox and eliminating your emails, you're not. All those emails that, quote, air quote, disappeared, they still exist somewhere. You just have to know where to go. Or perhaps more pointedly, BZ says, you have to want to find them. One tool at their disposal was the grand jury, the sine qua non of a criminal investigation. Grand juries are comprised of 16 to 23 citizens who hear a prosecutor's case against an alleged criminal. The subject of the investigation is not present during the entire proceeding, which can last up to a year. A grand jury provides investigators with the authority to collect evidence by issuing subpoenas for documents and witnesses. FBI agents and prosecutors cannot themselves demand evidence. Only a grand jury can, or a court, in cases where a subpoena recipient refuses a grand jury's command to provide documents or testify. Does that sound something like, does that sound sort of like Jerry the Hutt Nadler-ish these days? I'm going to read you another paragraph, and then we're going to go to a break and come right back. Incredibly, FBI Director Comey and Attorney General Lynch refused to convene a grand jury during the Clinton investigation. Imagine that. Thus, investigators had no authority to subpoena evidence or witnesses. Lacking leverage, Comey then injudiciously granted immunity. When you grant immunity, by the way, you're granting immunity for something, right? When Obama gave away the United States in all sorts of things, did he expect anything back? No, that was Barack Hussein Obama. But when you grant immunity to someone, you demand something in exchange, don't you? That's how the federal system works. Right? Comey injudiciously granted immunity to 5 Clinton aides in return for evidence that could have been obtained with a subpoena. So why, that begs the question, why did you grant immunity? Why did you give immunity to Clinton aides that you didn't have to do? You didn't have to go there, and you didn't have to grant. I'm going to come right back right after this. And all of this is going somewhere. Go with me, folks. Roll with me. You're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin. It's Thursday, May 2nd, the year of our Lord, 2019. You're listening to the Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, late night conservatarian talk radio on shrmedia.com. Thanks for listening.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday, from 7 to 9 a.m., right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m., here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Right here live and direct from the SHR Media Studios, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Bill Mill, the Capitol building at 10th and L Street in Sacramento, Fornicalia, where late at night, when I open that door right over there and I exit about 10:30 at night Pacific time, I go outside and I can hear the wails and moans, the euphonious wail and the moans of the death of common sense from that evil building. And I can smell the noxious and terrible vapors of sulfur and brimstone from the evil that is done in the Capitol building in Sacramento, California. Thanks for listening to me tonight. I appreciate it. My apologies for Professor Michael Jones not being here. I'll contact him later, and I'll see if maybe next Thursday we can get him back on. In the meantime, I was going over a transcription, I should say, of a speech given to Hillsdale College by Joe DeGeneva. I read his CV, and he's making some excellent points, and I'm throwing some commentary in it, in between, with regard to what we've seen for the past 2 years, 3 years now, since before 2016, trying to eviscerate President Trump number 45 and many more people. Joe DeGeneva essentially said this. Incredibly, FBI Director Comey and Attorney General Lynch refused to convene a grand jury during the Clinton investigation. Thus, investigators had no authority to subpoena evidence or witnesses. Lacking leverage, Comey then injudiciously granted immunity. Why? To 5 Clinton aides in return for evidence that could have been obtained with a subpoena instead. Even when Clinton claimed 39 times during a July 2nd, 2016 interview, an interview, imagine this, which was led by now disgraced FBI agent Peter Strzok, that she could not recall certain facts because of a head injury. Comey refused the case agent's request to subpoena her medical records. That would be logical. That'd be something I'd do. Comey claims he negotiated the immunity deals because of his concern about time. Yet the investigation was opened in the summer of 2015, nearly a year before he cut those deals. Compare this to the DOJ's handling of 4-star Marine General James E. Cartwright, who pleaded guilty in October of 2016 to a false statement about leaking classified information to the New York Times. In that case, the DOJ bragged about its use of subpoenas and search warrants. Not only was there no grand jury, the FBI never issued a search warrant, something it does with regularity when there's a concern a person will destroy evidence, as we know occurred in this case. That's me weighing in. Clinton deleted half her emails and then claimed under penalty of perjury, because why wouldn't she? Because nothing's going to happen. Again, more BZ. That she had turned over to the government all emails that, quote, were or potentially were work-related. The FBI later found email chains classified as secret or confidential that she had not turned in. Still, no search warrant was issued. Comey's dereliction did not stop at the failure to utilize essential prosecutorial tools. He violated several rules that prosecutors consider sacrosanct. 1. Comey allowed one lawyer to represent 4 material witnesses, an arrangement ripe for the 4 to coordinate testimony. Imagine that. After needlessly giving immunity away to 2 lawyers representing Clinton, Comey permitted both to sit in on her July 2nd, 2016 FBI interview. That's a patent conflict. That's a major conflict. He claimed he could not control who sat in on the voluntary interview. That's Okay, this is BC. That's bullshit. He says that's nonsense. He could have convened a grand jury, subpoenaed Clinton, and then compelled her to appear and be questioned without a lawyer, or else plead the Fifth Amendment. Because that's what you can do in a grand jury. That's why you impanel them. Comey authorized the destruction of laptop computers that belonged to Clinton aides and were under congressional subpoena. Who authorized that? That's right, Jimmy the Leak. Comey. Comey ignored blatant evidence of culpability. It is ridiculous to the general public and risible to those who have security clearances, like I did, for Clinton to claim that she thought that the C placed after paragraphs in her emails meant the material was in alphabetical order rather than meaning it was classified. If she thought that the C indicated alphabetical order, Well, where were the A and the B on the documents? Well, I guess this is me speaking, I guess she makes us think that she really is that stupid. Clinton and her supporters touted her vast experience as U.S. Senator and Secretary of State positions requiring frequent use of classified information and presumably a little bit of common sense. Yet neither experience or common sense informed her decisions when handling classified materials. If I'd done a fraction of that, I'd be having this radio show from Terminal Island, and you would hear that, can you accept a call? You'd hear the ding, ding, ding. Can you accept a collect call from BZ? Well, you wouldn't be taking the damn call. Comey and the FBI never questioned Clinton about her public statements, which changed over time and were blatantly false. Quote, I did not email classified information to anyone, morphed into, I did not email anything marked classified, which morphed into the claim that C did not mean what it clearly meant. False and changing statements are presented to juries routinely by prosecutors as what? Oh, that's right. Clear evidence of guilt. Breaking DOJ protocols, violating the chain of command, and assuming an authority he never had, Comey usurped the role of the U.S. Attorney General on July 5, 2016, when he announced that the case against Clinton was closed. Do FBI directors come out and they themselves say that a case is closed? They just notify the DOJ and they coordinate quietly between the DOJ. And the announcement to be made should be made by the DOJ. In this case, it should have been Loretta Lynch. Oh, yeah, that's BZ commenting once again. He justified his actions saying that he no longer trusted Attorney General Lynch after her June 27th meeting, 2016 meeting, with Bill Clinton on the tarmac at the Phoenix airport. This meeting took place at the height of the so-called investigation, just days before Peter Strzok interviewed Clinton on July 2nd. Thanks to the efforts of Judicial Watch to secure documents through the Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request, we now know that Comey was already drafting a letter exonerating Clinton in May of 2016, even prior to interviewing more than a dozen major witnesses. What's the point? We also know that the FBI's reaction to the impropriety of the tarmac meeting was not disgust, but rather anger at the person who leaked the fact of the meeting. The quote was, "We need to find that guy and bring him before a supervisor," stated one name redacted FBI agent. Another argued that the source should be banned from working security details. Not one email expressed concern over the meeting. An FBI director who truly had his trust shaken would have questioned the members of Lynch's FBI security detail for the Arizona trip about how the meeting came to be. Comey didn't bother. Comey described Clinton's handling of classified information as extremely careless. That's a clumsy attempt to avoid the legal language of gross negligence for criminal mishandling of classified information. And we later learned that Peter Strzok, again, was responsible for editing this language in Comey's statement. Peter Strzok was speaking for Comey. But practically speaking, the terms are synonymous. Any judge would instruct a jury to consider gross negligence as extremely careless conduct. Comey claimed that no reasonable prosecutor would bring the case against Clinton. Joe DeGenova says, I have spent many years investigating federal crimes, and I can tell you that a reasonable prosecutor would have utilized a grand jury, issued subpoenas and search warrants, and followed standard DOJ procedures for federal prosecutions. In short, Comey threw the case. He should have been fired long before he was. Absolutely. In late spring 2016, just weeks prior to Comey's July 5th press conference, clearing Clinton of any crime, FBI Director Andrew McCabe ordered FBI agents in New York to shut down their investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Their objections were overruled. Sources have told me that McCabe also shut down an additional Clinton investigation. This is the McCabe who, oh, by the way, check this, This is the same Andrew McCabe who, while he was overseeing the Clinton email investigations, had a wife running for the Virginia State Senate and receiving more than $460,000 in campaign contributions from a longtime Clinton loyalist, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. Moreover, it was only after the news of Clinton's private server became public in the New York Times that McAuliffe recruited McCabe's wife to run for office. McCabe eventually recused himself from the Clinton probe, but that was 1 week before the 2016 election, after the decisions to clear Clinton and to pursue the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. They'd already been made, so his recusal was meaningless. It meant absolutely nothing. In clearing legal impediments from Clinton's path to the Democrat nomination, Comey and his senior staff thought that they'd helped Clinton cinch the presidency. Their actions put an end to decades-long tradition of non-political federal law enforcement. As an aside, I note, how many times did you hear the LDAM, leftist Democrats and the American media maggots, absolutely insist that none of the alphabet agencies had anything to do with this, nor would they ever, because they are two things. They are apolitical and they are unbiased. And BC says 3, bullshit. Joe DeGenova continues. The case of Trump-Russia collusion. Rumors of collusion with Russia by Trump or the Trump campaign surfaced during the primaries in 2015, but gained in strength soon after Trump secured the Republican nomination in July 2016. Thanks to DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz, we now know that high-level FBI officials were involved in promoting those rumors. Among Horowitz's discoveries were text messages between FBI Deputy Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok and FBI lawyer Lisa Page that suggest an illegal plan to utilize law enforcement to frame Trump. The most revealing exchange we know of took place on August 15, 2016. Concerned about the outcome of the election, Strzok wrote, I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andrew McCabe's office, that there's no way Trump gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. Joe DeGenova says, no amount of sugarcoating or post hoc explanation of this or other texts can conceal the couple's animus against Trump and support for Clinton. Strzok's message illustrates his commitment to Clinton's victory and Trump's defeat, or if Trump won, to the Plan B, the insurance policy. Now, Joe DeGenova says, the term insurance policy obviously refers to the Trump-Russia collusion investigation, which to this day remains a probe with no underlying crime. Oh, by the way, this speech came out before Mueller finished his investigation, came out with a report. I should have prefaced that from the beginning. This is pre the issuance of the Mueller report. That's another story. Holy Mother of God. It looks like a reprise of the schemes undertaken during an earlier era under FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover that led to the creation of the Church Committee, a committee on which I served, Joe DeGenova, and which tried to reform the FBI to prevent it from meddling in domestic politics. Imagine that. At the heart of the Russian collusion scheme is the FBI's utilization of a document paid for by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee. Called the Steele Dossier because it was written by former British MI6 officer Christopher Steele, this document contains unsubstantiated information designed to taint Trump and his presidency, while Clinton partisans pointed out that candidate Clinton never referred to the Steele Dossier in her speeches. The fact is, she didn't have to. The FBI hierarchy was doing it for her. Indeed, FBI General Counsel James Baker was recently reassigned, remember this is a while ago, was reassigned because of his having leaked information about the Steele Dossier to the magazine Mother Jones. No one claim, concerning Trump and the Steele Dossier has ever been verified by the FBI. Stop. Not one claim. That harkens back to the Hunt for Red October. Vasily. One ping only. Not one claim concerning Trump on the Steele dossier has ever been verified by the FBI, according to Andrew McCabe himself in recent testimony to the House Intelligence Committee. The only confirmed fact is unsurprising. Former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page traveled to Moscow on his own dime and met with various Russians. All perfectly legal, by the way. Comey and then CIA Director John Brennan laundered the Steele dossier through the U.S. intelligence community to give it an aura of credibility and get it to the press. It was also used by the FBI and senior DOJ officials to secure wiretap warrants from a secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, court. Then its contents, via court-authorized FISA warrants, were used to justify the illegal unmasking of the identities of wiretapped Trump officials. The contents of these National Security Agency intercepts were put on spreadsheets and presented to members of President Obama's National Security Council, the NSC, specifically Susan Rice and Ben Rhodes, and then subsequently leaked to the press. According to former NSC staff, President Obama himself read the FISA intercepts of Trump campaign personnel. Unsurprisingly, there was no request for a leak investigation from either of the FBI or the DOJ. Stop here. This may be a perfect time for your BZ to interject just a bit of information here. I've said this was a soft coup. And I've said that what all of these alphabet agencies and the people representing these alphabet agencies during this time in the Obama administration, what they're all fearing are two things. It's twofold. They're fearing the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, which is this. Simply put, it says that all evidence discovered subsequently to bad information means that everything you discover after the bad information is null and void and cannot be used. Now, what am I saying? What am I saying to that for? Boy, there's a big stuff going on in the chat room. What I mean is the fruit of the poisonous tree. What's the poisonous tree? The poisonous tree is the FBI submitting an affidavit to a FISA court predicated but upon bullshit. A Yahoo News story, amongst other things. A dossier that was bullshit. If I were the FISA court judge who originally signed that, and then the other FISA court judges who had to re-up it every 90 days in the meantime, I'd be pissed that the FBI took me for a fool. I'd be really pissed, but they're worried about exposure like this. Because not only does it make the FISA court look stupid, it makes our intelligence agencies appear blatantly biased and political, and it leads to specific individuals, names of people, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, James Clapper, John Communist Brennan, all the way up, in my estimation, to the Oval Office, because just as we read, we know from this, Barack Hussein Obama read the information. So anybody that thinks that Barack Obama, well, I'm too stupid to know what's going on. Again, bullshit alert. He knew exactly what was going on. You just have to find the right documents connecting him to that. I believe they exist. I believe they're out there. And let me say this also about, since it just enters my head, and I'm pausing here a little bit in the Joe DeGeneva speech from Hillsdale College. All the guns that have been aimed at Attorney General William Barr, and every attempt to make him look biased, foolish, stupid, etc., extremely biased, attempt to compromise him on every level. There's a method to the madness of the Demorats, and that's this. He's already said that he's going to go backwards in time and do research into the FISA warrant. And if he does, and if they can't stop Barr from doing this, when you go backwards and try to account for all of this, you're going to find illegal activity linked to very specific names. And I can guarantee you that there are any number of high-level personnel these days in D.C. and other environs whose sphincters are fucking watertight, hoping that somehow they don't get breached in a federal facility later on as someone cuts a hole out of an orange jumpsuit for convenience, if you get my drift. So people are not happy with William Barr right now because he said, well, yeah, I think it's spying. Now I have to determine whether it was legitimate or illegitimate. Well, that's what the Attorney General does. So when I tell you that people are shitting car parts all along the fruited plains in D.C. and the Northeast, guaranteed. That's why all the pressure is being put on Barr these days, so that if he happens to go there, they can come back and say, we told you long ago that Barr was compromised. First, it was Trump-Russia. Now it's going to be a Barr-Trump collusion. Guaranteed. Barr is evil. Trump is evil. We already know that. OMB, Orange Man bad. I should make a meme behind that. I should make a t-shirt. Did you see my t-shirt tonight? I'm an expendable. I'm a red shirt from Star Trek. So I'm expendable. Never be caught wearing a red shirt in Star Trek. To continue, in some, the FBI and DOJ employed unverified salacious allegations contained in a political opposition research document to obtain court-sanctioned wiretaps, and then leaked the contents of the wiretaps and the identities of political opponents. This was a complex criminal plot worthy of Jason Bourne. Another reason that I like the way Joe DeGenova, God, would I love to have him on the show. I wonder if I could somehow do that. I'm sure he gets requests all the time. Maybe I'll look into it. Would you guys listen to the show if I somehow got Joe DeGenova on? I know I would. Then he writes, the pall over the special counsel in the FBI, and again, I need to emphasize that this speech came out before the issuance of the Mueller report. So I predicate this part of the speech on that. Layered over this debacle is a special counsel investigation unfettered by rules or law. Not surprisingly, James Comey triggered the special counsel's appointment, and he did so by design. That is true. According to Comey's testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee, having been fired on May 9th, 2017, he leaked official... That's why I call him Jimmy the Leak. He leaked official documents to his friend, Columbia Law School professor Daniel Richman, with the very specific intent that Richman would leak them subsequently to the press. Reportage on that leak is what led Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to appoint Robert Mueller. You see how brilliant that is? A former FBI director and Comey's good friend. Because they're both former FBI directors. He appointed Robert Mueller as special counsel to investigate allegations of Trump-Russia collusion. Mueller's reputation has been damaged by a series of thank God that DeGenova said this, because I've known this for quite some time. Mueller's reputation had been damaged by a series of decisions that violate the ethical rules of appearances. For instance, he hired Democrat partisans as lawyers for the probe, Andrew Weissman, who donated to Clinton and praised acting Attorney General Sally Yates for disobeying Trump's lawful presidential order regarding a travel ban for residents of certain nations that harbor terrorists. Jeannie Rhee, who donated to Clinton and represented Ben Rhodes in the email probe and the Clinton Foundation investigation, and Aaron Zebley, who represented Clinton IT staffer Justin Cooper in the email server probe. Mueller also staged a pre-dawn raid with weapons drawn on the home of Paul Manafort, rousing Manafort and his wife from their bed, a tactic customarily reserved for terrorists and drug dealers. Manafort has subsequently been indicted for financial crimes and that antedate his campaign work for Trump and that have, that's right, Nothing to do with Russian collusion. Then there's the fact that, I went a little late. Okay, let's break. Let's go to a break. I'm going to come back, finish this. And then do I have some weird ass fucked up stories for you. It's late at night. All the kids should be asleep. So when I say things like that, well, okay, I guess I mean them.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin. It is I, as I broadcast right here from the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios, where I'm broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles from the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Bill Mill, the Capitol building in Sacramento, Fornicalia, at 10th and L Street. So thank you very much for listening tonight. I've been going over a speech given by Joe DeGeneva at Hillsdale College. I'm not far from wrapping that up, and I'm going to continue because I've got so much stuff. Like I said, we're going to have to wait for the underground professor to be back next week. He called during the break, or just before the break, I should say, and I was in the midst of doing this segment. So I'll call him back and see if I can arrange some things, because I'm too deep into this and there's other stuff that I want to tell you. So, Professor, I don't know if you're listening, but thank you for calling. We'll rearrange it, and we'll get you back on as soon as we possibly can. Then there's the fact that when Mueller removed Strzok from the investigation in July 2017, he didn't tell anybody. The removal and its causes were uncovered by DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Why was such vital information concealed from the public? It is not, as it is often claimed now, that Strzok was a minor figure. All the major decisions regarding both the Clinton and the Trump-Russia collusion investigation had been made under Peter Strzok. Significantly, Strzok also led the interview, imagine that, of General Michael Flynn. Now, we see him interviewing 2 major players now, do we not? Michael Flynn, Hillary Clinton. He led the interview of General Michael Flynn that ended in Flynn pleading guilty to making false statements to the FBI. Stop. Do you not recall, however, that the bulk of the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn were of the opinion that he was not lying, so someone else had to be coming to the conclusion that he was lying? And this was a get me on Michael Flynn. Also, DeGeneva writes, it's important to recall that Flynn's FBI interview was not conducted under the authority of the special counsel, but under that of Comey and McCabe. It took place during Inauguration Week in January of 2017. Flynn had met with the same agents the day before regarding security clearances. McCabe called Flynn and asked if agents could come to the White House. Flynn agreed, assuming it was about personnel. Well, it wasn't. Flynn had been overheard on a Pfizer wiretap talking to Russia's ambassador to the United States, that's right, Sergei Kislyak. There was nothing criminal or even unusual about the fact of such discussion. Flynn was on the Trump transition team and was a federal employee as the president-elect's national security advisor. It was his job to be talking to foreign leaders. Flynn was not charged with regard to anything said during this conversation with Kislyak. So why was the FBI interrogating Flynn about legal conduct? What more did the FBI need to know? I am told, this is Joe DeGeneva writing, I am told by sources that when Flynn's indictment was announced, McCabe was on a video conference call cheering. Compare the FBI's treatment of Flynn to its treatment of Paul Gambetta, the technician who used a program called BleachBit to destroy thousands of emails on Hillary Clinton's computer. This destruction of evidence took place after a committee of the U.S. House of Representatives issued letters directing that all emails be preserved and subpoenaing them. Gambetta first lied to the FBI, claiming he didn't recall deleting anything. After being rewarded with immunity, Gambetta recalled destroying the emails, but he could not recall anyone directing him to do so. The word in Washington is that Flynn pleaded guilty to take pressure off his son, who was also a subject of Mueller's investigation, always the soldier. But those who questioned Flynn that day did not cover themselves with law enforcement glory. Led by Strzok, they grilled Flynn about facts that they already knew. Well, you better already know them before you go in there. and that they knew did not constitute a crime. That they knew did not constitute a crime. They besmirched the reputation of federal law enforcement by their role in a scheme to destroy a duly elected president and his appointees. A pall hangs over Mueller, and a pall hangs over the DOJ, but the darkest pall hangs over the FBI, America's premier federal law enforcement agency, which, since the demise of J. Edgar Hoover, has been steadfast in steering clear of politics. Even during L. Patrick Gray's brief tenure as acting director during Watergate, it was not the FBI, but Gray personally who was implicated. The current scandal pervades the Bureau. It spans from Director Comey to Deputy Director McCabe to General Counsel Baker. It spread to counterintelligence via Peter Strzok. When line agents complained about the misconduct, McCabe retaliated by placing them under investigation for leaking information. From the outset of the scandal, I, Joe DeGenova, he writes, have considered Comey a dirty cop. Completely. His unfailing commitment to himself above all else is a pattern. Throughout his career, Comey has continually portrayed himself as Thomas Becket, fighting against institutional corruption, even where none exists. Stories abound of his routine retort to anybody who disagreed with him, not an unusual happening when lawyers gather. During his tenure as Deputy Attorney General under President George W. Bush, "Your moral compass is askew," he would say. This self-righteousness led agents to refer to him as the Cardinal. Comey is no Thomas Becket, he is Henry II. A great disservice has been done to the dedicated men and women of the FBI led by Comey and his seventh-floor henchmen. A grand jury probe is long overdue. Inspector General Horowitz is an honest man, but he cannot convene a grand jury. We need one now. We need our FBI back, and that was by Joe DeGenova. Now, I've got tons of happy stories. I've got tons of other stories. But I got to tell you a story. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over a story that I hadn't planned to talk about tonight, but I'd heard it on the way driving over here to a studio. This is actually a studio. It's not in my bedroom or anything like that. We actually have to pay rent for this place. It's got a bathroom, a little kitchen, and things like that, and another room. So on the way of driving over here, it takes me at least a half hour to 40 minutes to get over here. I heard this story on the radio, and I thought, wow, this can't be true. So I remembered it, and then I checked on the internet, and by God, it's true. Funny thing is, I found it by not just one, but two authors. The person that was talking earlier about this story was only referring to a specific Yahoo News story. But it's also, a similar story has been written by somebody at called thetab.com. I have no damn idea what thetab.com is, but there's another person, in this case a female, who's come up with the same meme. And when I tell you this, you're going to laugh, or you're going to cry, or more likely you're going to wonder what the hell has happened to our country. This is an actual story, and I'm looking at it in front of me right now. The title is Game of Thrones Keeps Killing Off Entire Immigrant Populations, and It's a Problem. Now, if I had a producer, what you would have heard is Game of Thrones keeps killing off entire immigrant populations, and it's a problem. But I don't have a producer, so that's not what you heard. I'm actually going to read this because I want you to understand the thought process that goes through the minds of dipshits like this guy. And I'll give you his name. I don't know anything about him. Kyle Munzenrieder. Munzenrieder. Kyle Munzenrieder. Kyle, after I tell you about this, Kyle, you need to get a fucking life, dude. So I'm going to read this story to you. On last night's Game of Thrones, they're referring to last Sunday night's Game of Thrones, the priestess Melisandre saunters in at the last possible minute to light up the Iraqs of the Dothraki in flames. Okay, now if you're not a Game of Thrones person, I get it. Roll with me on this. And if you don't get it, let me know in the chat room. I'll explain it to you. But this is symptomatic of a much larger problem with leftists. And so you're going to hear a lot of names and stuff that really don't mean anything to you if you're not a Game of Thrones person. But I'll get to the good part. It offers both the assembled forces of Winterfell and the audience at home a brief glimmer of hope before the next 60 or so minutes of horror film meets battle scene tension and results in a clever cinematic trick. The swift extinguishing of that flame like a city skyline experiencing a rolling blackout telegraphs the pure carnage that awaits without zooming in on the details. Narratively, however, it also literally represents the end of what was left of Daenerys' 100,000-plus Dothraki horde. Assumedly, sure, there's the women and children and possibly a few rogue hordes of Dothraki still left in Essos, but lest the show pulls a trick of, oh, we actually have some more Dothraki over here, you just couldn't see them. It was dark. Then this has been their send-off on the show. It was an abrupt end to an entire group who we were introduced to in the very first episode and a people we've spent more time with and understand better than many of the populations of the actual Seven Kingdoms. What exactly is happening in the Reach lately? And it all points to a worrying problem. Okay, stop for a second. This person, Kyle, is writing about shit that didn't happen. Maybe someone needs to tell Kyle that Game of Thrones is a TV show on HBO. That it comes from a series of books written by a fantasy and science fiction author called George R.R. Martin, who's a rich little troll, let me tell you. Kyle, this shit isn't real. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to continue, and you're going to see what I mean by people like Kyle, who's a leftist. Man, they do, in fact, have no life. Where it once seemed like Game of Thrones had something to say about the top, here we go. Here we go, buckle your seatbelt, Bucky. Where it once seemed like Game of Thrones had something to say about the topic of immigration and the introduction of new populations to the staid old continent of Westeros, I'm no longer sure it's interested in such heady ideas anymore. It continues to burn up entire ethnicities like kindling in the fire of expensive battle scenes, revealing that it only introduced them in the first place to populate its numerous bloodbaths. Entire peoples with proud, interesting histories have been given the send-off of a random red shirt cadet in Star Trek. Hope you're watching this on video. Game of Thrones first started teasing that it had something big to say about the human costs of the idea of borders with the wildlings. Borders. With the wildlings, or as they preferred to be known, the free folk. The group was hated by many of those in Westeros, simply because they had been hated for years. See what this brilliant person is doing? Making the comparison between illegals in, say, I don't know, the United States to Game of fucking Thrones. Dude, Kyle, get a fucking life. Let me tell you about this, though. It didn't stop there, because in the process of doing show prep, I found this story, like I said, at thetab.com. The title is, Sorry to break it to you, but Game of Thrones is racist as fuck. This is by, I am not quite sure that I can pronounce the name, out of the UK, Diora Shadajanova. Diora Shadajanova. Okay, there we go. Came out 2 days ago. Last night's episode proves non-white actors are just used as props. Everyone agrees that Game of Thrones The Long Night was one of the most thrilling cinematic experiences television has seen in a long time. 78 minutes of intense fighting and clever plot twists kept everyone on the edge of their seats. No wonder it broke a world record as the most tweeted about episode of scripted TV for all time. Well, she's giving props to Game of Thrones. But wait, there's more. But in all its glory, we've somehow allowed ourselves to become tone deaf to the lack of diversity in the show's casting and the downright structural racism of the entire plot. The Dothraki army, along with the Unsullied, being killed in mere seconds in last night's episode was the perfect microcosm for the show's treatment of its non-white characters. They were simply portrayed as one-dimensional tools, mere pawns in the wider plot. Racism, racism, racism. Rampant. Well, I guess George R.R. Martin must be a racist, and everyone connected with that show must be a racist, and HBO must be racist, and anybody watching me, you, your child, they're all racists. Because if you aid and abet Game of Thrones, you're all fucking racists. All of you. This is insanity writ large. But this is where leftists have come to now. Here in the United Snakes of America, by this dude Kyle, and I say again, Kyle, get a damn life. And by some bent whose name I can't even remember, and it doesn't matter anyway, who essentially said the same thing, is it comes down to racist, 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 racist. Because that's all they've got. Jesus. Jesu Christi. Okay, now I'm going to play a video, and you're going to hear the audio of it. The audio is good enough. You don't almost really need to see the video, although I may explain a few things. I came across this video, and it explains a lot about the state of California. And I'm going to cut to the cheese, or cut to the chase, and say essentially, California, if you think that California is the perfect leftist example of leftist idealism, boy, have you got another thing coming. Because the people who control California, historically, then, decades ago, and now, they're all white. They're all Caucasoids. Imagine that. I found this, somebody sent this to me in Facebook. Then I found a copy of it on YouTube. I'm surprised it's still on YouTube. If you want to look for it, you can go into YouTube and then put in your search for it, 4 Families of California, and you'll get the same thing. But the title of the video is Renegade State, the 4 Families of California and the Private Company that Controls the Internet. And what I discovered, and what you're about to discover, is that all this leftist crap in California is incestuous as hell. Welcome to California.
Pat Brown's father, Edmund Joseph Brown, was known for running scams and gambling operations in San Francisco. With the help of businessman William Newsom II, Pat Brown became governor of California for 2 terms. During his governorship, he awarded the Squaw Valley concession contract to William Newsom III and his partner, John Pelosi. The deal was criticized for the state of California paying for everything and getting nothing. William Newsom III grew up with the governor's son, Jerry, who was training to be a Jesuit priest. John Pelosi's son, Paul, married Nancy D'Alessandro, daughter of Thomas D'Alessandro Jr., who was known for smuggling heroin into the U.S. with Lucky Luciano and the Baltimore Mafia.
Imagine that.
John Pelosi's son, Ron, married William Newsom's daughter, Barbara. Over ongoing disputes about the Squaw Valley concession, William Newsom Sr. threatened to hurt the governor politically, just as Governor Brown was running for a third term against Ronald Reagan. He lost. But 8 years later, the former governor's Jesuit son, Jerry, reclaimed the governorship in 1974. He appointed William Newsom III to a Placer County judgeship in 1975.
Placer County.
And 3 years later, to the State Court of Appeal. William Newsom was an attorney for oil magnate J. Paul Getty, named in the 1966 Guinness Book of World Records as the world's richest private citizen. And while serving on the appellate bench in the 1980s, he helped Getty's son, Gordon, secure a change in state trust law that allowed him to claim his share of a multi-heir trust. After Newsom retired from the bench, he became administrator of the Getty Trust and provided seed money for his son Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, to start the plump jack business that led to a career in San Francisco politics as mayor of San Francisco and lieutenant governor of the state of California. Gavin Newsom was informally adopted by the Gettys after his parents divorced.
Jesus.
And recently succeeded family friend Jerry Brown to be the current governor of California. For 80 years, these four families have ruled over the state of California politically. And with the help of Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, and Dianne Feinstein, California's uncontrollable state government spending has amounted to over $2 trillion in debt and the highest tax rates in the country. The homelessness population is on the rise so much that a typhus outbreak has reached epidemic levels. Thousands of needles from illicit drugs litter the streets. They have made California a sanctuary state. They have been steadily chiseling away at the Second Amendment. They have passed laws for mandatory vaccinations. And they continue to aggressively oppose our president on every front. On October 1st, 2016, right before Donald Trump won the election, President Obama transferred full control of the internet from the U.S. government to an independent California nonprofit organization.
This is important.
In a cyber war scenario, the U.S. government may not have control over the internet. Even if it secures military and government domains and IP addresses, the targets in cyber warfare are likely to be civilian, and the U.S. government requires private sector infrastructure to operate. Since the internet underpins our computer systems, electrical grids, communication systems, and other critical infrastructure, our entire civilian society could be at risk. Who controls California?
Who does?
Who controls the four families?
Who does?
What is a republic? For newswars.com, this is Greg Reese.
Now you know, it's all a bunch of caucasoids. So wait a minute, I thought we were a great leftist state who loved diversity. And now I think you can begin to understand, and the rest of the story is that good for you, but not for them. They all live in gated communities. They're nowhere near illegal immigrants, nor do they ever plan to be. So if you peons, if you groundlings, you unwashed, you unworthy, if you're offended by immigrants bringing in disease, then you're the bad people. You're the racists. Imagine that. Yeah. Things like that, they stagger me. Do not they stagger you? Hey, when we come back after the break, I got an incredible amount of happy stories. Holy crap. So this is the final 25, the last 25 minutes of the show for this week. And I'll be right back. Right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the SHR Media. I'm sorry, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios. I'm being finger-wagged by Sackhead Sean. Make sure that you mention that. And this is the final 25 minutes of the show. Sackhead Sean is here. So I have to say hello to Sackhead Sean.
Good evening.
Great to see you, Signor.
It is a pleasure to be seen.
Or like if I were saying it in Italian, Signore. S-I-G-N-O-R-E. Signore.
Or Irish, motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to you. And I'll use guys like you before.
Yes, that is Sackhead Bald, and so it begins. Thank you, Alaskan.
No. If you look, you can see a tuft of hair on him because you can see kind of the up front. Because of the darkness, you can't see the top of your head. You can see the headphone over it. Hey, speaking of which, are your headphones okay?
Perfect.
Up, down?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, good.
Nailed it.
All right. Nailed it.
And yeah, you know what? I'm used to it, though. You know what I mean? It's like saying the Titanic is only like a little sunk. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
it sank.
It only has one hole in it.
Yeah. It sank a little bit. And then maybe it sank a little bit more after that. Hey, I promised everybody that I would have a ton of happy stories, and I do. I have probably 50 tabs up here.
Let's go.
And I'm not even going to get to the bar hearings.
There was bar hearings?
Yeah, okay, you know where I'm going, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and say it.
No.
You want me to ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The people have been foaming in order to hear you say in your lovely patois, say these two words, Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor.
How would you spell that?
B-A-H-H-A-H-B-A-H. Bar Harbor.
B-A-H.
Bar Harbor. H-A-H-B-A-H. Harbor.
Are you sure it's not H-A-B-B-A-H?
You know what? I think that's the correct British spelling.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
but
with the three.
That's Old English.
Yeah, the 3 is silent. Okay. I have so many bar hearing cuts to play.
Yes.
All from yesterday.
Yes.
And I'm going to get into
Well, there was nothing today because the house...
Oh, wait. Oh, that's okay. If you think that I was going to play cuts from yesterday, you're wrong. This is a cut from today. This is Jerry Nadler, who had an absolute meltdown in his committee hearing. Let's just
the gentleman from
start
Florida
it here.
is recognized for the purpose of an amendment.
I'm playing this because these are your tax dollars at work.
A reporting
here.
quorum being present, the question is on the adoption of the motion.
This is Nadler.
Pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2J2C.
Chairman.
Those in favor
Mr.
say
Chairman,
aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Opposed, no.
Mr. Chairman.
The ayes have it. The
Mr.
motion-
Chairman.
The ayes have it. The motion is
Mr.
agreed.
Chairman, I seek recognition.
The motion is agreed to unless...
You won't recognize me.
Okay, well, I'm getting the blue
Members
circle
of
of
the
death.
committee?
Here we go. Now we're back.
You want to speak on this motion?
Does anyone wish to ask for a recorded vote?
Mr. Chairman, I've asked for recognition.
The clerk
We're
will
not allowing
Clerk will report
Republicans
the result.
if you're not Republicans, we're
We
not
didn't
allowing
vote on the
Republicans to
question.
debate this motion.
You're making it a
ashamed of?
kangaroo court here. We ought to be going by the rules and giving people a chance to debate. No wonder the AG doesn't want to come here and testify when you're running things without regard for debate.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
Totally unfair.
In
Thank
the middle of
you.
a vote, the clerk will report the result.
Mr. Chairman,
So
I
we get
seek-
no amendments. Hold on a second. The ranking, and point of personal.
Okay, let me cut to the chase here. I'm going to cut
This
about a
is the United States Congress.
Yeah, I'm going to cut about a minute off of this because it really continues on like this. It was just
a shit show.
It was an absolute shit show. I'm going to fast forward by about a minute.
The ruling of the chair on the motion to adjourn, which is a privileged resolution.
Chairman, there were 15 ayes, 20.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal.
Finish.
That was on the table.
That was on
That
table.
was on the table.
Clerk will report the result.
It was before it got.
It sounds like a group of like 7-year-olds
It's
trying to
Mr.
figure
Chairman,
out the
the
rules
reference
for hide and go
22
seek. Like you can go down to the
15
street
ayes,
corner,
22
you can
noes
go
on
to
the
Mr.
motion to
Jones's
table.
backyard,
Motion
but
to
you can't go to
table
Mrs.
is not
Smith's backyard.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute. That was a motion to table.
Mr. Chairman.
We didn't even get the
He
results
doesn't
of the
even
earlier
know what
vote.
it is,
Yes, we
what the
just did.
motion
Mr.
involved.
Chairman.
And it's not like he just came to
Table
this.
is not adopted.
Mr. Chairman.
That was previous.
The next item on the agenda.
He didn't come to this committee this year. He's been on it for
No.
what, 5-6 years?
Yeah.
He should know very well.
gentlemen.
for an amendment.
He's a moron.
That whole contract was on a motion to table, which was not adopted.
I have an amendment
Wait a
to
minute. Table what?
Wait a minute, table what?
Mr. Chairman, I reserve a point of order on the amendment.
He doesn't know.
He's a
Wait a
moron.
minute. Mr. Gates is offering an amendment, correct?
Yes.
And I reserve a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
Okay, it's
Clerk will
after
report-
this, but basically,
Point of order.
I can't listen to any more of this. But
This is
basically,
your
after
Congress.
this, he turned off the microphone of Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. They get into it back and forth, and Gates essentially asked to be recognized, and he just shuts it off.
Yeah, and turns his mic right off.
And you know what's funny is the ranking Republican, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but the ranking Republican in his opening speech essentially blasted Nadler, said, "You're not going to run this per the rules. You're just not going to let Republicans speak. You didn't want him to hear today. You could have forced a vote. And if you did, it doesn't matter what you want to vote on. You're going to win anyhow. You have the numbers. You're going to win." Essentially, he was calling out every Democrat for saying, you're going to party line vote in this committee no matter what, which they will.
Which is what we have in California.
He's saying to Nadler, what are you afraid of? You have the votes to do whatever you want. At least let us have debate.
No.
And there was nothing.
No. Got the votes, no debate, screw ya.
Yep.
I'm shutting you down, period, end of statement. Like I said in
Jerry
chat,
the Hut.
I call him Jerry the Hut.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever seen him not behind his, or if you've never seen Jerry Nadler not from about his nipple line on
weird.
up, if you thought I was weird or fat, holy shit, I've got nothing on Jerry the Hut.
It literally looks like he's trying to smuggle in an inflatable for a pool under his suit.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
Or the pool itself. And if you thought General MacArthur wore his pants high.
Nadler is.
No, Nadler wears.
He has to.
He literally wears his pants up to his nipple line, and I'm not kidding.
He has to unzip his fly in order to address Congress.
Yeah. That's actually good. That's pretty damn good. Okay, thank you.
I've never seen it. I know one person like that, but it's the strangest thing in the world. Look, all physicalities aside, because I'm not one to talk either. The simple fact of the matter is, the ranking House official. If somebody has his name, I can't think of his name right now. But the ranking,
are you talking about the Republican?
Yeah, the ranking Republican in there. The ranking Republican essentially said, "Look, he's not here because you're afraid of what he has to say, and you guys have nothing but BS to go off of. You're gonna push an agenda, and him." You try to hide behind, we weren't going to have enough time in 5 minutes, and people's assistants or staff members want to ask questions.
Okay, your Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy? Is that who you're talking about?
The ranking House official on that committee, on the oversight committee.
Oh, on the oversight. No, that I do not know. I do not know his name.
And he's actually he's like, the Senate allowed everybody to get their questions in. They extended for an hour.
Yes, at least they did that.
Right. And he said, you're not even going to do that, and you're worried about everyone having enough time and all this BS, when the simple fact of the matter is you don't want him to testify. And that's what it comes down to.
At least be honest.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate about Bernie Sanders. He's honest. He'll tell you that he's a socialist as the day is long.
Yep.
Okay, let's get to some happy stories.
Okay.
Here's one. This is the first one, and I had to put this up in spot one. This is from wideopenspaces.com. Michigan man pops car hood to find 50 pounds of pine cones stored by a squirrel. It might be time to thin the squirrel population when you find stuff like this. Just saying. A photo under the hood of a Michigan car is going wildly viral after a Michigan man found 50 pounds of pine cones squirrels had stashed away in his car. MLive.com reports that Gaylord's Kellen Moore found the surprise under the hood of his Dodge Journey last week after noticing.
He drives a Dodge Journey.
Yeah, I know. Poor guy. After noticing his air conditioner was making an odd noise,
and it smelled very. He couldn't figure out why he didn't have to replace his pine.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't
scent.
have the little tree in his car, and so
like, this
why
smells
was it
amazing in here?
This is great.
If only the AC worked.
And so they were shocked to find the cozy nest that the animals had been making themselves. Here's another one. This I find.
They are little buggers.
This is great.
Funny as hell to watch, though.
This is from thehill.com. Philippines Duterte threatens to declare war on Canada if they don't take trash back within the week. And if this isn't a happy story, I'm sorry, I don't know what is. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte. Say that 3 times. Rodrigo Duterte.
But we're radio professionals.
That's right. Don't try this at home, folks.
Doug Collins. That was it. Thank you, Kaiser.
Doug Collins, okay. Thanks, Kaiser. Has threatened war with Canada unless the nation takes back thousands of tons of trash shipped to Manila by a Canadian company, according to CNN Philippines. He said, quote, I'll give a warning to Canada maybe next week that they better pull that trash out, Duterte said, according to CNN Philippines. We'll declare war against them. We can... This is the best quote. We'll declare war against them. We can handle them anyway.
He may not be wrong.
He might not be wrong.
Unless any of the hockey teams kick in, and then they're in trouble. Look, I love Duarte for one reason, or for a couple reasons. One, he's fighting Islamic terrorists tooth and nail. But the second one is, do you remember after we bombed Gaddafi and he went away for like 10 years?
Oh, yeah, we killed his son.
And then we came back and he would just talk and not say anything, but he would just talk for hours. And I bring it up, we talked about this on Sackheads 100 times. When he came to the UN and he wanted to rent Central Park and put up 1,000 tents and they wouldn't let him, and he ended up renting Trump's golf course to do it. And then he was supposed to get, 15 minutes at the UN, and he went on for an hour and 45.
Oh, yeah, it just went...
And it was completely incomprehensible. Like, he wasn't saying anything. This is what Duarte is. He is enjoyable to the point that he's comical. Don't get me wrong. I think he's one of those guys. He's doing what's best for his own country. You can't fault a guy for that. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says.
This is like that. God, what book? I had to read this in elementary school. I had this is
John Marr.
I had to read The Mouse That Roared.
Yes.
About the Duchy of, I can't remember the name, the Duchy of something or other. And basically it declared war on the United States so that it could be conquered by the United States and then be the recipient of largesse by the United States. That's how it imagined itself it was going to be getting ahead.
Here's the problem, though, is, the Philippines, they can fight.
Listen, so that's why I said, fighting the Canadians, and then he says, yeah, you know what? I think we could fight him to a standstill. Dude, you might not be wrong.
He's a little batshit crazy.
Oh, but it makes him entertaining. Okay. Hey, by the way, do you like my shirt?
Yes, you are very much expendable.
Yeah,
red shirt.
I know. I'm a
red shirt.
I'm a Star Trek red shirt. Here's another good story. But this is a little bit more, this has a little more seriosity to it.
Oh, damn it.
See what I did there? A little different name. Coca-Cola, Ford, and Xerox boldly announced we're no longer donating to Planned Parenthood.
Wow.
3 company giants from completely different industries have made a shocking yet pleasing announcement. Coca-Cola, Ford Motor Company, and Xerox stated they're no longer donating to Planned Parenthood.
God bless them.
Planned Parenthood has been falsely advertising that the companies do still donate on their website. So I got to say that's a happy story as well.
I think that's excellent. Look, and that's free market at its finest, right? You can say too little, too late. We can have that whole conversation, but the reality is decisions are getting made now. And look, the last couple of years, I think the false shell of Planned Parenthood has come off greatly, and people have seen the reality, and it's caused pushback onto a lot of these businesses that were supporting them. When, let's face it, I don't know why they're getting private support. It's public funded.
No,
the feds fund it. We fund it. Your tax dollars fund it, whether you like it or not.
It's like funding NPR.
Right.
It's like, why?
They should not be allowed to sell advertisement.
You fund NPR so rich white people can listen to concert music. That's why you fund NPR. Because they ain't playing rap on NPR. Trust me on that bad boy.
I say it all the time with NPR, and we've had this discussion, not to stray too far from Planned Parenthood, but NPR, look, if NPR, all they did was play every presidential newscast, and they were like PBS, where you just watched old people listen, like you said, to classical music. And if the local stations allowed like local broadcasting, which I'm totally fine with, I don't care.
Sure.
I'd be fine with it. I am okay. And here's the other caveat, though, that you use it as a learning tool at colleges, universities, for people to learn how to broadcast.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I would be
but
okay
there,
with
there are
that.
still lots of universities that have their own private college radio stations.
I'm
and
not
whatnot.
talking
So I
about
understand
that, because
what
what happens with that the radio station, I've talked to a few people that tried to work at those, is if you try to have a political talk show that is against the norm of the politics of that university,
well, you can go straight to hell.
You can go straight to hell.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's another happy story. It's happening. Joe DeGenova, the guy whose story I just read for the last half hour and a little beginning in the second hour, he says John Brennan is going to need 5 attorneys. The report on James Comey is coming out in 2 weeks. Now, he's talking about the report that I believe is coming from the IG.
Yes.
Michael Horowitz.
Yeah. We were told about 2 months after the Mueller.
He said that the only hero in all of that cabal is going to be Admiral Mike Rogers. Admiral Mike Rogers, by the way, in charge of the NSA, for people who don't know that.
Right.
And the people who may not know, the NSA has sort of historically been controlled by admirals or generals in the military, just so that you know, who not only slipped into the Trump Tower after the election but told Trump the truth, but he'd gone to the FISA court and told them. Joe DeGenova is saying Admiral Mike Rogers went to the FISA court and told them who the culprits were, and to stop the madness. According to DeGenova, the FISA court had already turned the information over to Attorney General Bill Barr.
Weird.
So, folks.
Well, and so this is going to have I think the IG report's going to be bigger than the Mueller report as far as who it points at. Now, we know the IG can't prosecute. We understand
he
that.
has no powers of that.
But the U.S. District Attorney's Office can, based off of his investigation. They can launch their own investigation. They can use his investigation as evidence, and they can present and indict.
Oh, you know what? I found an audio cut. This is one of those smaller audio cuts, so I don't know if it's going to play. It doesn't go directly through YouTube, but let me see if I can find DeGenova talking about this. I think it's about
Whitewater Independent Counsel.
3 minutes.
So let me start with you. Bob Woodward,
this is Huckabee, Mike
who's
Huckabee.
no Trump fan, for sure, and certainly not a card-carrying member of the Republican National Committee, basically was saying this was the work of John Brennan.
Well, there's no doubt this is pretty simple stuff for career prosecutors like Rudy and myself. It has been evident from day one that there was a brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and then if she lost the election, to frame Donald Trump.
Yes.
This dossier was a knowing part of that. It was created by Hillary Clinton. It was created knowingly by John Brennan as part of a scheme to do everything they could to harm Donald Trump. The problem for Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Baker and all of them now is that the FISA court has already communicated with the Justice Department about its findings. And their findings are that for more than 4 years before the election of Donald Trump, there was an illegal spying operation going on by FBI contractors, 4 of them, to steal personal information, electronic information about Americans, and to use it against the Republican Party.
Not
there are
shocked.
going to be indictments. There's going to be grand juries.
Pause that for a second.
John Brennan isn't going to need 1 lawyer. He's going to need 5.
Okay, let's go back here.
But you also
Let me
have
go
to
back
use
here
it-
just a second.
Go
ahead.
That is right around the time, and we have to remember that the IRS was weaponized.
Yes, they were completely
against conservatives.
501c3s, conservative PACs, etc. You bet.
You had conservatives who were being denied small business loans. You had all that shit going on right around that same time. Dare I say it, and I dare. The federal government, by and large, was being weaponized against any conservative movements. Look, they never thought Hillary was going to lose the last election.
The certainty was immense.
Never, ever, ever thought.
It was huge. Well, let's continue with this because I love what Joe DeGeneva is saying.
Against the Republican Party. There are going to be indictments. There's going to be grand juries. John Brennan isn't going to need one lawyer. He's going to need 5.
Robert Ray, let me bring you in on this because you've also served. Why does this matter to the average American sitting at home with a bowl of popcorn and a soft drink? Why does it matter to them what happens in this entire investigation?
Because it's about the rule of law and privacy.
Thank you.
The Obama administration, for more than 4 years before the 2016 election,
Fourth Amendment
allowed
thing?
4 contractors working for the FBI to illegally surveil American citizens illegally. The FISA court has already found that. By the way, Robert Ray mentioned that there is the Horowitz report coming out in May or possibly early June. There's another report that everybody has forgotten about involving James Comey alone. That will be out in 2 weeks. That report is going to be a bombshell. It's going to open up the investigation on a very high note, and there will be criminal referrals in it. The FISA court abuse is the center of this entire abuse of governmental power.
It was weaponized.
Yes. I said it. I've said it before. I said it at the beginning of the show, and I'll say it again. This revolves around the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, and it's all about the FISA warrant and how the FBI crafted that affidavit, submitted it to the FISA court. It was predicated upon bullshit and lies, upon information that was paid for by the DNC, by Hillary Clinton, and also by the FBI itself. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine essentially says that if your initial starting point of a case is corrupt, as in everything that you subsequently found comes back to an initial warrant that was predicated on bullshit, everything else you subsequently find
no good
is crap and will not hold. And that means that everything that they've done up to this point, including all the convictions, are subject to being overturned. And so when William Barr, says that, there was spying. I don't know for a fact that it was warranted, but I don't know that it was unwarranted.
Such a great line.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to find out.
Yeah, that was an amazing line.
And I bet he does.
And the chief judge of that court has already ruled that the FBI broke the law and that the people at the head of the Justice Department, Sally Yates, John Carlin, the Assistant Attorney General for the National Security, all knew about it and lied to the court, the FISA court, about it.
Robert, if you were advising Jim Comey, Sally, Joe, very quickly, if you've got a word you want to add.
There's a hero in this entire story, and it's not a lawyer. Okay. All the bad people in this story are lawyers. There's a hero. His name is Admiral Mike Rogers. He was the head of the National Security Agency. He discovered the illegal spying. He went personally to the FISA court and briefed the chief judge and worked with her for months to uncover the people who did it. The FISA court has already been told and has already told the Justice Department who lied to that court, and that has been given to Bill Barr already.
Very powerful. Let me add something. You know, if we ask this question,
okay,
BZ,
that's been given to Bill Barr already. Well, if he said it, and we're hearing it, and we know it, then wouldn't you suspect, Sackhead John, that information has already been disseminated to all the Democrats, and that's why they're pulling. They're sparing nothing.
They're shitting chickens
to smear William Barr. As I'm wont to say, they're shitting car parts right now. They are absolutely watertight in D.C. And in the Northeast.
Yeah, well, and I know we're right up against the end, but the long and short of it, too, is this isn't the only thing that's going to come out of all of this.
No.
This is really the tip of the iceberg, because this will launch so many other investigations. And I've said it before, it won't go to Obama, but it will go to his office. And I think they'll start working this backwards, maybe as far as Benghazi.
Well, that's where all the emails
previous
started.
Administration was covering up. Right. All of this started with the Benghazi attack, the emails, the lies, everything that started after the fact. Susan Rice, nobody thought anybody would ever question Susan Rice. All of it. And that's where it all started.
We're going to discover that all of the shit that the Democrats have been accusing the Republicans of, they are, in fact, the ones that are guilty of that. We got a couple of minutes left before this. I have about 60 seconds left. I want to hear about Mike Flynn from Joe DeGeneva.
What does it matter to the person at home? If the highest levels of government can trample the constitutional rights and the Constitution that through which we elect a president and step all over an elected president, imagine what it can do to you.
Yeah.
Staggering, because truer words were never spoken.
And it comes down to
ever.
Who gets that information, who's in charge to use it as to what can happen to you.
So, folks, if you're wondering why, as Sackhead Sean says, they're shitting chickens, now you know why.
Yeah.
And the Democrats, leftist Democrats, and the American media maggots will stop and expect it's open warfare now, because they have everything to stop. This could turn everything upside down, and you can find that the presidency of number 44 could be the most corrupt in the history of American history.
I would venture to say yes. And again, not even necessarily, and part of it could be incompetence on his behalf. Look, I'm not saying that he was complicit on everything, but I think that he had such lack of control over his administration that people were doing what they wanted to do, that Hillary pulled a lot of these strings while he was president. And that wouldn't shock me. Look, I'm no Obama fan. Everybody here knows that. If you've listened to the show for the last 7 years.
I heard from Clint that you voted for him in term number 2. That's what I heard.
Yeah, Fat Nose would say that. But the reality is I think Hillary could have very well taken advantage of the loosey-goosey way that he ran the administration, and things happened because everyone wanted her to be the next president.
Okay, final question for you, Sackhead Sean.
Yes.
The rest of this year, 2019,
yes,
is there going to be one or maybe a series of extremely important revelations that we'll discover involving the Democrats?
Minimal of 5. And here we go. Obviously, the FISA court.
Okay.
We're going to find out
That's
exactly
huge.
who in the
That's
FBI.
Huge.
And Comey, Strzok, and Page. Not Carter Page. The girl there.
Lisa Page.
Lisa Page. No, I was right. It was Page.
Yeah.
Those three may end up in a courtroom. I think those are going to be the big three. I think that there's going to be some no-name person that's going to turn state's evidence and start talking. And I think Brennan is hosed too.
Brennan, yes, and I'd go so far as to throw Clapper in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, no. I just said the minimum 5. I think there's going to be minimum 5. And then, look, the other thing, too, that you have to remember is they're now pissing Barr off.
Well, especially after lighting a fire under him for 8 to 10 hours yesterday, and then attempting to belittle him by demanding that he sit and be quizzed by staffers, not even the senators whose job it is to do that. They're going to give it to number 2 and number 3 personnel?
Yep, nope. I think that while they're eating fried chicken in his face and empty chairs. Look, and I think that, Barr, I think, is no Jeff Sessions. I don't think you want to screw with him. And I think now that the gloves are off, I think he'll go full bore. I think when he released the Mueller report, it was, look, this is the information that's here. This is what I'm telling you is here, and this is why we're doing this. I don't think it was partisan at all, per se. But now I think you pissed him off, and he's going to say, well, you know what? I have this beautiful office and all of this equipment. Let's find out what you assholes were up to.
And I don't think it's going to be about revenge, But I do think it's going to be
No,
about
it's just, if
the
you wanna-
rule of law, and he's going to do the job that he believes was tasked to him.
And I think for him, it's going to be more about, you don't think I'm a good AG? You don't think that I know the law? You don't think that I can do X, Y, and Z? Fine. I'll show you how good of an AG I am.
Yeah. I think there is so much more to come. Oh, Jesus. 2019.
Going to be fun.
It could be even more exciting than 2020.
And we have,
and if 2019 goes this way, can you imagine a 2020?
Well, you got to remember we have the election in 2020. So any sort of political push that can be given to the procedure and the proceedings, getting quicker court dates, making things happen, I think it's going to be like gangbusters. Look, mark my words, if former President Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Susan Rice, or any of those folks are not in a courtroom testifying in the next year, I will be shocked. They may not be on the stand to defend themselves, but testifying.
And the subsequent question is, how many Democrats will have to fall by the wayside, and how will that order of persons who are seeking nomination, how will that order be changed? With the ultimate question being, what happens on November 9th of 2020 when OMB gets a second term?
Well, and the other thing, too, to keep in mind is that as we're going down this road, as we're getting closer, as everything's about to happen, how many suicide notes are being written at Hillary Clinton's house right now?
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that somewhere in a safe, I'm sure she has Vince Foster's.
Yes.
Okay. Did I actually say that? I may have. I think I did say that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP, and on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Thanks to the Redcon One Media, Big Sarge, for simulcasting my show tonight. And promotional consideration, of course, is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and of course the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And by Pratt & Whitney Engines, thrust you can trust. Tiaras by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting in less than an hour. And thanks to you and you and you and you and the Sackhead Sean. Yes, you. And to everybody listening live, everybody who was in chat, everybody listening on Redcon, Big Sarge, SHR Media, and to everybody listening in podcast. It's a great weekend coming up. So I say to you, have a great weekend. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.